Welcome back to the channel. This is a walk through the Word. I'm Aaron Love, and right now we're walking through the Gospel of Matthew. In my last video, we went over chapter 1 and just a quick recap of just went over the genealogy of Jesus and just the initial struggles that Mary and Joseph went through at the time they found out of the when they found out about the pregnancy of Jesus, and Joseph's decision to just be in full faith and just go through the process and be the father of Jesus and be the husband of Mary, and his reason for doing that. But that's just a quick recap of chapter 1. And now we will be doing a walkthrough of Matthew chapter 2. I will be reading the ESV, and you can follow along whatever you like.
Chapter 2. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose, and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet, And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel.
Just real quick, we can go over the first 6 verses. I mean, the wise men coming in, and I know it's like through movies and TV, we see that it was just 3 of them. More than likely, it was way more than just 3 wise men, and they were coming from different countries from all over. So the time between them seeing the star and getting the message about the King of the Jews being born, it had been some time. I'm not gonna put an exact amount on it, but it was definitely more than a day. Like, they're just not walking to and fro and making it in quick time. But after the wise men asking Herod, where's the new King of the Jews? Because if you go to anywhere, you're gonna ask who's in charge, what's going on. So that's basically all they were doing. They were like, okay, this is the current king. We want to know where the new king is gonna be. So they're just asking the most obvious question to the most obvious people. But this is news to King Herod. So he goes to the chief priests and the scribes, and they not only confirm the location, but they also are basically confirming that this child is going to be the Messiah, that this child is going to be the King of Jews, which is not good news to King Herod. But they're just confirming the prophecy from Micah chapter 5, verse 2. But when King Herod hears this, he's not too happy, which we'll see in the next coming verses.
Herod summoned the wise men secretly, and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, that I too may come and worship him. After listening to the king, they went on their way. And behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. Now when they had
So now we see that King Herod had different intentions than the wise men. The wise men, following the message that they got when they received the star, they were going to bring Jesus these gifts and worship him. But King Herod told them, and first he had to figure out, King Herod asked him, if you can see in verse, I believe it's verse 7 and 8. And when Herod summoned the wise men, he secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. So basically, he wanted to see the exact time that they had saw the star up until when they came to speak to him and asked him about the who's the King of the Jews and where he'll be born. So obviously he tries to fool them, tell them a lie, like go and search for them, and when you find them, let me know so I can worship him too. But those are not his intentions whatsoever. So as we go on, we see that uh, yet again, um, actually before that, after the wise men, finally find Jesus, and it did not happen overnight. They did not show up to Jesus the night that he was born. As we see in verse 11, they're going into a house. And as we all know, uh, Jesus was born in a manger and almost like a barn element. So at this point, Jesus is an older child and he's in a house with Mary and Joseph. So this was not a one night thing. But regardless of what time he was born, we see that it did take the wise men some time. And even though Herod told them to come back and tell him that, where Jesus was so he could come and worship, they, yet again, here we see when people are asleep, God sends an angel to warn them or to show them a sign or give them a vision. So as the wise men were resting at some point of this journey, they were told in a dream not to return to Herod because he was going to deceive them. But it's just amazing yet again, as we saw in chapter 1, when Joseph went to sleep, he got the message of the angel, letting him know like he didn't have to be afraid to marry Mary. He didn't have to worry about anything that was going on, and that his son was the Messiah, and that he could claim him as his no claim him as his own, and that he was able to be his father. But yeah, we'll continue.
Parted, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, Rise, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him. And he rose and took the child and his mother by night, and departed to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet, Out of Egypt I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he had been tricked by the wise men, became furious, and he sent and killed all the male children in Bethlehem and in all that region who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had ascertained from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be comforted, because they are no more. But when Herod died, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead. And he rose and took the child and his mother and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there, and being warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. And he went and lived in a city called Nazareth, so that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, that he would be called a Nazarene.
All right. So we go back up to verse 16. Once it gets to the point that Herod finds out the wise men are not returning, he was obviously deceived by them the same way that he tried to deceive them. He puts out the decree that all the 2-year-old male children in Bethlehem should be killed. And this is because he's basically calculating the timeline from when the wise men told him that they saw the star up into the current time that it is right now. And this is why a lot of people say that, it took the wise men 2 years to find Jesus by following the star. But he puts the two timelines together, and then he sends out the decree that all the 2-year-olds in Bethlehem should be killed. Obviously, this did not work because I believe, yeah, in verse 19, we see when Joseph had a dream. Again, when you rest, God will let you know what's going on. Joseph had a dream saying, take him and the child and go to the land of Israel and just wait until King Herod dies. Now, granted, we don't know how long that's going to be. We don't know how long that, like at this point, Mary and Joseph, they've been to Egypt, they've been to now Israel, and so now they don't know exactly what's next, what's this, what's that. But as we go on, we see that in Joseph's obedience, just listening to the dreams, following what the Lord says, um, eventually Herod does die. And after Herod passed away, he's still afraid to go back. But we see that again, he's let known in a dream, everything's good. Now you just go to Nazareth so that way the prophecy can be fulfilled and Jesus could be a Nazarene. Now, if we look at the two prophecies that have been spoken on, we go to verse 18, and I believe that prophecy is, and I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, but that's from Jeremiah 31, verse 15. And again, for those who are in their word during this time, for those who are heavy on the law of Moses, heavy on the Torah, heavy on the prophets writing, they know what's coming. They can try to put two and two together, because if the chief priests and the scribes that work for King Herod can do it, then I know other people had to be able to do it. But just at the time, obviously, Joseph being the man that he is, he wasn't like a superstar scholar, because back then you had to be chosen to be called under a teacher or under a rabbi. Like you go through this certain kind of school and then they pick you out. They're like, oh, he had potential, you have potential. Now I'm gonna choose you to come up and study under me. But that's not exactly what happened with Joseph. He was just a man of faith, and not extreme faith. That's why the Lord had to send him these signs to make sure to keep him on track. Like, granted, thank God Joseph rested a lot, because he was told in many dreams all the time to just wait on the Lord and to go here and to go there. But he just had to have the obedience out of that faith in order to do this. But now we see that after Egypt, they go to Israel, and then after that, they go to Nazareth, and now he is going to become Jesus of Nazareth, as it speaks in the prophecies. So if we just do a quick recap of chapter 2, Herod, being the evil king that he is, he tried to deceive the wise men to tell him where Jesus was going to be so he could obviously kill him. Didn't work out. Another thing I should have added earlier, the gifts that the wise men gave Mary and Joseph funded all this moving that they were doing. The things that they received, like the frankincense, the myrrh, all that was very expensive at the time. So all this moving and all this traveling, they ate off that, and they ate off that very well. So we see the wise men, they come, they worship Jesus, they give him gifts. Mary and Joseph use these gifts wisely, and they travel to Egypt, they travel to Israel, and we see that Herod, just being the evil king that he is, he just decides to kill all the male children in Bethlehem. And granted, at the time, the city wasn't that big, so I mean, every life is precious, but it was only maybe 15 to 30 children that were actually killed during the time. So it wasn't like like he didn't do it in the entire country. Man, I know people are gonna be in the comments like, "Oh, every life matters. Every life does matter." I'm just giving you the details. Just giving you the details. But Herod kills the children, and it was just the male 2-year-olds in Bethlehem, and we see that um, even regardless that Herod knows that he lost, and even regardless after Herod dies, Joseph is still in fear of returning. He's still in fear of moving. And we see that the angels lead him, guide him, and just so they could eventually get back to where they're supposed to be in Nazareth, so everything can align with the prophecy, and his son can become Jesus of Nazareth. So yeah, that is chapter 2, and thanks for joining me, and we'll see you for chapter 3 in the next video.